Hello and welcome to the Elevate podcast. I'm your host, Patricia Nowakowski. I am a salon owner, educator, mindset, and leadership coach that helps salon owners go from overwhelmed and burnt out to motivated and empowered. It is my mission to help you systemize your business, generate more profit, and create a career that you are absolutely in love with. Join us every week to learn about the small shifts you can make to elevate your business regarding mindset, marketing, social media, business systems, and so much more. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Elevate podcast. On today's episode, we have a very special guest. Her name is Janell Borrero. She is the owner of SHEfo, helping empower women in the beauty and arts industries with strategic financial guidance. SHEfo helps build financial confidence through numbers and encourages small business owners to step outside of their comfort zone and hit their desired goals. Share a bit about who you are, what you do, and how you got into this line of work.
Yeah, my name is Janell Borrero, and I am an entrepreneur. I am a fractional CFO, mentor, author, and I've been in this line of work for the past few years. But the reason why I got into it was because I just wanted to be in an industry that I related to and where a lot of problems I see, because either some people take advantage of those in the beauty industry because of the lack of knowledge in the financial world. And I speak business, but I also speak beauty world as well. So I wanted to combine both. And it's just a world that I can also just be myself instead of being so corporate. So I really wanted to just put it all together. And I'm just such an advocate for women in business, entrepreneurs. So I just like, okay, what can I do to really be happy at what I do? And that's the reason why I went ahead and created SHEfo and really went after women in the beauty industry. It just brings me happiness.
Yeah, I feel like this is definitely an area that a lot of salon owners and just like people in the beauty industry tend to avoid. I feel like especially with independents, they have an inflated idea of like what they're actually making because they see all of this revenue coming in, but then they don't take into consideration like the expenses and the money that's actually going out, right? And I feel like when we have an understanding of financials, it helps us set really clear benchmarks, and it also is a way to actually measure our growth.
Right.
So since this is something that you really specialize in, what do you think the biggest financial mistake you see professionals make in their business, and how does that impact their business? Wondering what it's like to work with me? Want to know what I've tried and tested in my salon and how you can create more freedom as a salon owner? I'm excited to offer an exciting way to get my coaching lessons to you in our podcast subscription. The Elevate Insider is an inside look into my coaching calls and includes exclusive content from me. These episodes contain coaching lessons and the exact steps you need to take to grow your salon. Plus, you'll receive special PDFs and supporting documents so that you can easily take action. To learn more and to become an insider, visit opulentbeautypro.com/insider or find an episode of the Elevate Insider on Apple Podcasts.
The biggest mistake that I've seen and I've experienced in business, it's with taxes. So not knowing the numbers in your accounting world. And then when it comes to year round, when you do your taxes, then they didn't realize how much income that they received. So they have this large tax bill. And the ones that really get hit are the solopreneurs because they're not expecting that. So if they're not expecting it, that means they're going to go on a payment plan with the IRS. And that payment plan comes with penalties and interest. So you may owe $10,000 and you're paying the least amount of money that you can afford is $100, $150. That $10,000 starts to accumulate over time. So now you have more of a debt because you didn't plan it out right, because you didn't have the handle on your accounting and didn't budget for that for the future. So that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see in the beauty industry.
Yeah, taxes, especially independence. And I feel like that type of business structure is
Mhm.
becoming so popular. And, again, all of this money is flowing in. Everyone's like, yes, I'm making so much money. But then they don't realize, like, especially if it's somebody newer to that part of the industry, they don't realize, yeah, there was somebody else taking your taxes out for you, have to save for taxes. What do you think the best way to really save for taxes? What is like a tangible thing that people in the industry can do? I know for me, like I allocate all of our credit card transactions into a separate account, but I don't think that a lot of people have the option to do that. What is something that you recommend, like a tangible tip so that they don't get hit heavy at the end of the tax season?
Well, one of the things that you really want to look at is how much you're actually making. So we have the rule of thumb of if you're making about $50,000, $60,000 in net revenue, then you may need to restructure yourself. So many solopreneurs are just an LLC as a self-employed individual, so they get taxed plus self-employment tax. So if it gets restructured, say for instance, to an S corp, you can save a lot of money with avoiding that self-employment tax. So speaking to a tax individual as myself, an enrolled agent or a CPA, they can help guide that person to make sure that you're not paying so much in taxes as one. If you have to pay, then you should have the estimated taxes on a quarterly basis. So even if it's that $1,000 you put away every 3 months, so that way you can send it off to the IRS, or just divide that up, the $1,000 in 3 months, and that way you can be able to send it out every quarter to the IRS.
And our next question is really going to kind of go into budgeting. I think this is another area that a lot of salon owners struggle with because when you need something, you need something.
Mhm.
So, what is a tangible step that people can take in our industry to kind of start to create a budget, and how often should they review that?
They should review it on a monthly, no less than a monthly basis. I am so adamant with once you close your books for the previous month, then you should look at your budget to see the actuals versus what you budgeted and see where you need to improve and where you lacked that. So if you have an accounting system, if you have QuickBooks for say, a lot of people do use QuickBooks for their accounting, you're able to pull all the historical numbers from the past, say for the past 12 months. Take that, put that in an Excel spreadsheet and look at it and estimate based off of your actual numbers, because your numbers are pretty much, you're going to fluctuate as your previous year. And then from there, you can look at it and say, okay, beauty industries are in between 3 to 5% in growth, depending what industry is here, because of your lashes, your makeup, hair, whichever it is, there's an industry standard of growth. So you want to be realistic where you want to see yourself every year, but it's around 3 to 5% increase in growth. So you want to see what your numbers were in the past, make the calculations to give that growth and put it all in an Excel spreadsheet. So that way you have the numbers, not only for your revenue, but also for your expenses. With your expenses, reviewing that, you know where you probably need to cut some because you probably have subscriptions that you may not need, but you still have them in there. But then you also get a handle of how much money is coming out. The biggest thing is cash flow. Every entrepreneur has issues with cash flow. So if you're able to estimate it prior, then you know more or less how much money you need to have to survive a certain amount of time.
Yeah, I think cash flow is the number one issue for a
Mhm.
lot of salon owners. So having those like multiple streams of revenue and having, not just clients bringing in revenue, but product and like other areas that can kind of bring that money in is really, really important.
With having the different streams of revenue, you do want to separate it out in your
Mhm.
financials. So that way, if you're purchasing products, then you know how much money you're bringing in with products, but also take into consideration what's your gross profit margin with products alone, because services may not have a lot of cost of goods as you purchasing certain products for retail sale. So make sure you do separate them so that way you can have the correct gross profit margins for each revenue that you're bringing in.
Yeah, I think that's important too, is itemizing for sure. What's one thing that our listeners can do today to alleviate some stress around their finances? I feel like a lot of the clients I work with, my coaching clients, there's so much stress and uneasiness around just revenue, new clients, and money coming in. So what is one tangible thing that they can do to kind of alleviate stress around this area?
To alleviate the stress around money and cash flow, I honestly say this is something probably unconventional, is the mindset. It's mindset when it comes to cash. If you're so worried about, oh my God, I don't have this money, I don't have this money, I don't have this money, that means you're not going to make that money. It's more of, how can I make this money this month? What do I have to do to get these amount of clients? How many clients do I need to come and pay these bills? Focus it on that way and having that different mindset of, all right, these bills are need to be paid or whatever it is that needs to happen. I need to have 10 clients come into that door to be able to afford this amount. So what do I have to do to get those 10 clients? But if you're focused on that negative part, then it's going to be very hard for you to bring in those 10 clients. So it's mindset. It comes down to really much the mindset.
Yeah, that is a lot of what I work on with my clients, is because I am totally into woo-woo stuff. And I think what you really focus on and what you think is what you project, and it's what you attract. And it's really hard to get into a positive mindset for a lot of people. But I always like to remind people that money is always flowing. You can always make money somehow, right? You just have to figure out how to do it, and you have to have the mindset for that. So I'm so glad that that's what you touched on.
Money is psychological. With all the books I've read,
It's energy.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
energy. I tell people I have my master's in business administration, my master's in accounting, financial management, and they don't touch up on that. And that's the thing that's different for me, that sets me apart from many, that I am an entrepreneur as well. So I know all of these struggles. It comes down to the psychological part of business, and it's just that mindset.
Yeah. And I think too, like when people have that lack mindset, it really keeps them from experiencing insane amount of growth, because you sometimes have to take those risks that are financial risks in coaching or investing in somebody like you to help them with their business, to help their business grow. And to think about the financial, I don't want to say burden of that, but the financial expense of that can be very daunting and overwhelming for people. But sometimes when you free up those funds and actually invest in a professional like you, it allows you to have the mental space to focus on things that make you money.
Right.
So I think that letting go and always having that mindset, I can make more money. The only thing that is not replaceable is time, right? Your time is not replaceable, but money is replaceable. Products are replaceable. Everything pretty much in this world is replaceable except for the time that you have. And when you can find somebody like you who is an expert in this area, the amount of time saved and the amount of growth that can happen in somebody's business, because you're helping them work through all of these struggles and these issues. When you can solve these problems in a very efficient way, it just definitely like catapults your growth in a way that you can't even describe. So I'm always about investing in somebody who knows what they're doing and isn't an expert in something. So that way you can focus on what you're an expert in, and you can alleviate that stress from your business because somebody else is handling it for you. Is there anything else that you want to add or share about yourself or your business, or something beneficial for our audience?
Right now, and this is in the works, it's a course. So women in the beauty industry, many don't have the financial means to actually invest in someone like me on a month-to-month basis, one-on-one. So I'm creating the course where it walks you through making sure your financials are up to par, your accounting, making sure your taxes are up to par, and giving you different scenarios, and then how to create a budget from ground zero all the way to that it's finalized. It's a group setting. I'll be teaching you how to do it and being your coach every week in that group setting, and they'll be able to speak to me and talk to me and ask me questions and how to do it, because many people either they inflate the numbers, they're not realistic, or they just don't know how to start, period. So I'm creating this course. We have the wait list out, but I do have a checklist, a free checklist to see how you're doing in industry, whether you're doing great or you need improvement or you just need a lot of help. If your listeners go to yoursheefo.com, so YOUR SHEfo.com, and then you'll be able to enter in your information to get that free checklist. And if you want to sign up for the wait list is available for you to sign up for as well. So we're rolling that out pretty soon. So I'm excited about that.
Where else can people find you and how can people get in touch with you?
On Instagram, you'll find me at Your CFO. I also do a lot on my personal Boss Lady Nell with one L, Nel. And then I post on TikTok a lot too with my own podcast, which is Boss Lady Nell with two L's, Nell. If anyone wants to reach out to me, I can be found at Janell, Janell, at yourcfo.com.
Well, thank you so much for being here today. I think there's a lot of things that you shared that are so beneficial, and I look forward to seeing how you roll out your course. I feel like that's something that every single person needs, especially in all areas of our industry, independent, suite owners, salon owners. So that is something that will be so helpful. And I appreciate your time today.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to the Elevate podcast. If you loved this episode, it would mean the world to me if you would leave a review on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen. The Elevate podcast is hosted by me, Patricia Nowakowski, and is produced by Opulent Beauty Pro. To receive my free business guides, visit opulentbeautypro.com/free or click the link in the show notes. You can find me on Instagram at Opulent Beauty Pro or at Patricia_Nowakowski_OBS. If you love this show, please consider subscribing and we will see you next week.